So we are back again with another video, and today I want to talk about Arsenal's potential takeover bid from the Qataris. Now, in the last few videos, I've talked about the possible bid, the official talks that were going on, because we heard officially from a Twitter space that look, these Qatari guys were serious. They were interested in buying Arsenal. Now, the situation has changed slightly because it's gone a bit quiet now. Now, I want to read out a report today that a Qatari football expert gave to Football.London, and I want to read out his quote, giving his take on why this deal is probably all for show and could possibly not happen. Now, as we all know, some cryptic tweets came out from the Al Thani account, from some other accounts, suggesting that it was all for show. Not all for show, but that they were serious. Now, after those cryptic tweets, there were some talks on a Twitter space where an account by the names of Qatari, as I already suggested, went and told someone that they are trying to talk with Stan Kroenke, that something is going on and there is an attempt to try and solve the situation. However, people in Qatar think that this deal is probably not going to happen, and that's why Football.London have recently spoken to Qatari football experts Mitch Freely and Ahmed Hashim, who both concurred this was the most likely a social media ploy. Freely described it as all for show. Now, what they're suggesting here is that this was all done because of PR. They wanted to get their PR up for the World Cup that was coming up. However, this has not stopped supporters from continuing to hope for a bid, and therefore further investigation into the likelihood of an Arsenal Qatari takeover is necessary. Speaking to Ben Jacobs, a sports journalist with years of expertise in the field, the Fan Brands team learned of several reasons as to why such a takeover would not happen. The main reason a Qatari takeover of Arsenal won't happen is there no substance to the talk beyond a glib tweet from Sheikh Khalifa bin Hamad Al Thani, explains Jacob. This is what the expert is saying. He does not have royal links and is the former president of Al Arabi, so there is some football pedigree there too. Yet he has nowhere near the personal wealth to buy Arsenal. Any takeover would also go through Qatar Sports Investment, and if Al Thani knew of or was part of such a bid, he wouldn't be tweeting cryptic clues. Kiosai are very secretive and rarely allude to investments until they're 100% done. The second insight is a bitter pill for Arsenal supporters to hear. There is no real value in buying Arsenal, Jacob says. A prospective Qatari owner would inheritingly a strong but relatively restricted brand for what they want to use it for, and ultimately paying way above the odds. Stan Kroenke wants at least 2.15 billion, so would stand to make a cool 1.15 billion profit if successful. No Qatar investor or group like Qatar Sports Investment would pay that kind of price simply for vanity's sake. For that kind of money, they would want to inherit a side capable of qualifying regularly and quickly for the Champions League, and they'd expect to inherit a team built for Europe rather than have spend millions more in order to get there. Costly squad rebuilding on top of inflated sale price will put off Qatari investors. It makes no business sense to pay such a humongous price with no guarantees of short-term success. He also said one problem with Arsenal to prospective Qatari investors, their strong links with Emirates Airline and more broadly the UAE. Jacob said this was more perhaps of an issue during the political feud between Qatar and Saudi Arabia, resulting in many Gulf states, including the UAE, shunned Qatar. The Qatar blockade was lifted in January, but if Arsenal were taken over by Qataris, there'd be nonetheless to see some more dramatic brand altercations. Qatar, with the 2022 World Cup just over a world away, would not want the Emirates Association. A huge part of any takeover would be to promote tourism before, during, and after the World Cup, and it's harder to do that when affiliated to a UAE-based airline, which is Emirates. Even if a private Qatari individual bought Arsenal, they'd still be working closely with government entities to ensure a sports wash, or less negatively put, promote Doha as a tourist and sports destination. Given Qatar Airways is the national carrier and has fought with Emirates in the past for business, and during their political feud airspace too, I don't see any Qatari business or investor wanting to buy Arsenal unless they could make the more Qatari-centric sponsorship deals quickly. PSG, sponsored by Emirates at the time, had the same issues since their chairman is prominent Qatari Nasser El Khalifi. When he signed Neymar in 2017, a secretive medical took place in Doha rather than Paris, and the initial photos at his unveiling only used the back of the PSG shirt, which gave all the advertising to Qatari phone provider Ooredoo instead of Emirates. This again shows that buying a sports club is partly about using it to promote Qatari culture, business and tourism, and it's quite hard to do so when inheriting a club known with its strong links to the UAE. If a Qatari investor, even one very distant from the Emir or a group like QSI, bought Arsenal, they would be outraged from Newcastle United, claims Jacob. This would be especially vocal if QSI were behind any potential deal since they have sports arm of Qatari's sovereign wealth fund known as the QIA. Newcastle's own prospective takeover, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, has stalled, and both Newcastle and their fans wouldn't hold back in calling out double standards if QSA or any other prominent Qatari with links or government pass the owners and directors test. But this is a bit unfair, and then he goes on to say more about this Newcastle thing. But if such a line of argument is quite superficial since it doesn't focus on the specifics of the individuals involved, and in this case we are speculating as to who could be behind an Arsenal takeover anyway. But the vocal outcry in this hypothesis scenario would be worrying for any prospective owner, and one thing is for sure, Newcastle wouldn't hold back. And look, just building on that, he made some good points there, and I want to just dissect a few of them. The main one was the fact that Arsenal, their main brand on the front of the shirt is Emirates, and Emirates, that will play a part, but it did play a part for PSG as well. That's my one sort of, what could you say, like sort of way around it. PSG had to deal with that as well because they're also, I think they're still, I'm not too sure, but they're still, there's still the Emirates link there. And according to whether there is actual real interest, because they're saying they are very secretive and they wouldn't actually do that. Again, he has a good point there. And all the points he made were quite valid. And also the sports and directors test, Newcastle holding back, I think their prospective owners would probably start lashing out. These guys, if they actually tried to buy Arsenal, there would be a lot of problems that would come into the way of the Premier League and whether these Qatari owners want to get involved with that. It's all a bit of a mess. But in my opinion, he made a lot of good points, but I still think there's a chance. Mainly because there's a way around the Emirates thing. Have they actually done anything which is against anything inhumane, which is what those Saudis were getting accused of? Anything which was against human rights? These guys, there's nothing against them at the moment. Allegedly, there is nothing against them, but we don't know. So that's second. Third of all, the secretive thing. Again, look, the guy, one of the links came out and said that there are talks. So that's the third point. So I do think, even though he's making some good points here, I still do believe that there is still something in this. And for me, only time will tell, because he did say wait, be patient, end of the season. We get that. But in order to answer the question of the video, will this Arsenal takeover happen? Will the Qatari owner takeover happen? The question's still fairly unanswered, because I want to go over some other points in this video. I want to talk about what this expert has said. Again, made some brilliant points, and I have to say it was really interesting reading that. But again, time will tell. But leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with this or not? This is courtesy of football.london, so go check them out. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.